What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome back to the Inside Wisconsin show here on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Trevor Thomas, John Anderson, available for comment.
Yeah, I am available for comment. First off, I should comment on the background. As you know, usually I have a very nice, it's got Wisconsin, it's got a helmet, but I am in the process of moving, so I had to clear everything out. I just probably should have told Amanda that we were moving into your basement. So thanks for letting me stay. I apologize. I've got some wires hanging around here. I need to clean it up. It's all been very hasty, but we're out of connect. Well, the house is sold, and until I'm ready to go, I'm just thanks for lending me the space.
Appreciate it. Yep, you're welcome. Rent check is due at the first of the month.
All right there. A lot of equipment. A lot of equipment.
A lot of technology. Yeah.
A lot of wires. So, is any of that up to code? I feel like we might, if the inspector comes through here, I don't know, we're going to get a permit, an occupancy problem. Okay, we're good.
We're fine. We're good. You're good. You're welcome. Anytime.
None of the old wires look exposed. It just, if they're all plugged into one thing, we might have problems. But anyway,
only like 4 seasons.
Listen, I appreciate it. And just, everyone, don't mind the DoorDash guy. And, usually I'm pretty good, and I'll be as quiet as possible.
Appreciate it. It's nice to have Cam around anyway.
Yeah. By the way, the bar stool, is that the one you broke your leg on getting off of, or was that
no?
That's different. Okay.
I'm going to go one of these years without getting injured, and then you're going to have nothing to talk about. Speaking of nothing to talk about, you had nothing to tell me for about 72 hours there. Are you okay? I texted you, woof, that hurt with the Brewers ending, and you said, I'm not available for comment, and that was your response 4 text messages later, dude. 2 days later, I'm still not available for comment. Okay, well,
I am not available for comment. I sent that to Nicole Briscoe and Mike Eves on the desk as they were talking to Francisco Lindor in the aftermath of the Mets' big win, and he's like, "Oh, I got to go to the team picture," and I'm like, "Whatever." So so here we are with our Rickie Weeks episode, and we're like, "This is going to be great." We're going to talk about Rickie, and then we're going to talk about going into the NLDS and where we're going to go from there. And if we have to, if it goes south, we'll find levering to put, kind of a requiem for the season on there. And I'm sad to say that we are going to be joined by Jeff later in the program, in addition to Rickie. But listen, it's just so hard because, and I'll probably say this 50 times in the show. One, it's been such a great season that you're like, okay, everything's gravy from here. But you can't stick to that, right? It's just not. Think of the Packers, right? The Cowboys, everything's gravy. And yet when we miss the field goal in San Francisco and you lose, you're like, right? You still get that pit in your stomach. And then the other part is just how much I hate the wild card. And I've told you that 100 times. I'll tell it to anybody who listens. There are too many teams in the playoffs, teams that don't deserve to be in the playoffs. We lost to a third-place team. There was really no incentive, I guess, we get one extra home game in Milwaukee, to winning that division. And they figure out a way to do it. Take the 3 wild card teams. I don't know how you want to shake them out. Then give me one of those. Let them play amongst themselves, and then give that one to the number 1 seed and go. And I need more than 2 games. It's too short to play 162 games, win your division, and then put yourself where you're literally on a level playing field for the most part with the team that was the 6th one and a 3rd place team in the division to get clocked. So that part has me, more pissed off about all of this than Alonso, although that guy's really high in the list. But what do you do, right? There's not one thing you change in that whole game, right? You stick with him, stick with him. A couple of home runs, you're there. The closer, Williams, here it is. We'll be fine.
Literally, nothing would change. Everything would stay the same.
And then for a long time, I'm not fine. And, I went, I didn't want to talk about it. I thought about a hunger strike, and then I thought, well, that's no good. I'm hungry. Can't have that happen, but it's just, it was just such a great season to have it end just in such a piercing way as you know, sometimes I'm just not available for comment.
Yeah, not available for comment. Well, Rickie Weeks was available for comment. And so here's the story on today's episode. We talked to Rickie before the playoffs started, and he painted an incredible picture of not only what it was like to be operating with this team this year, but what it was like to be a Brewer before and what it was like living in what we call growing up in Wisconsin. like he came here as a kid and spent a lot of time here, and now he's back. So we had a blast talking with him and reminisced about old things, knowing full well, like John said, that this may be a conversation that feels a little dated. And so here's the best way to put it. Rickie talked about what was an incredible Brewers season, and Jeff Levering reminds us about what is yet to come. This is a special time to be a Brewers fan. You will love everything that Rickie had to say about his time in Milwaukee, past and present. And then if you didn't catch how Jeff Levering signed off the radio this year, click pause on this and go search on X or Twitter or whatever it is and find it, because it is a moving deal. And we are grateful that Jeff talking to us about that as well. I sent you that. Did you even listen to it?
I have yet to watch my last show on SportsCenter, and I haven't been able to bring myself to listen to that. I'm not in a spot where I'm ready for that right now.
Gonna take some time.
Plus, Amanda's gonna like, who is that wailing in the basement right now? I can't have that happen.
Oh man. For what it's worth, I watched your last SportsCenter about 10 times. Then my DVR deleted the damn thing. I was pissed. It was really good. Anyway, all right, let's get on with the show. It's a Brewers dedicated Inside Wisconsin show. Rickie Weeks, then Jeff Levering. This too shall pass. Here we go. Rickie Weeks on the Inside Wisconsin show.
The Inside Wisconsin show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. The Rickie Weeks, Milwaukee Brewers, before and now. Thanks for joining us on the Inside Wisconsin show, man. Good to see you.
Man, great to have me, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I know you got a busy time, so we'll try to get through as much as we can here before you got to go, win games and playoff games. Tell me, you're in this new role now. You had a decade here as a player. What's the difference in clinching a title as your role as coach as it was when you were playing on the field?
Well, the biggest thing, the most obvious is, you can't do it for them. So they're in a position where, or I'm in a position where, you kind of lead from afar, and hopefully you get the guys in the right spot. Obviously behind Murphy and the rest of the staff. So that's probably the biggest disparity between playing and now being on this side of coaching.
How do you relate to them though? Because you did play, right? So Murph obviously didn't, and we talked to him about that, but you do. So whatever the yin and the yang, right? How do you get to adjust that in terms of your experience?
No, I think the biggest thing for me is just try to have feel. We have feel, then you're able to understand, okay, when to check in, when not to check in. When to push and when to pull. So I think the biggest thing for me is just kind of, I guess leading by experience, obviously, but also understand what the guys are going through and how they feel day to day and how they can kind of, get guys in the right situation and trying to understand exactly, what they feel and what they need to, to get out of the game.
So I don't think anybody saw 90-plus wins coming this season. And people are like, how are they doing it? And I think you can explain look at the stats and see how you're doing it. I just think it was unexpected. Tell me the quality that you most admire in this club that led to the success this season.
I think buy-in is probably the biggest quality. I don't care what team you go to what team you're on, what team you're trying to lead, or what team you're trying to push. But I think the biggest thing is buy-in, and I think from day one with I know nowadays don't have as many veterans inside the clubhouse, but I think the veterans that we do have, the Yeliches, the Hoskins, the Damases, the Peraltas, I think those guys really stepped up and kind of put these guys on their back and kind of showed them the way a little bit. And I think with that comes a resiliency that we've seen throughout the ball club, through the injuries and still be able to come out there and play winning baseball. And I think that's what it's all about.
I absolutely loved how you came on the press conference when you were being introduced along with Murph. I wrote it down. The first words out of you, I'm back. And the last words, let's effing go. Right? I think you're bought in. But you never got to wear the M and the B. So how does that feel, right? Because that was never a logo when you were playing.
No, it doesn't. But, I'll tell you what, I think being here for those 10 years, like like I said before, you're able to kind of, understand the tradition here, understand, who came before me and who's here now, obviously. But I think, going through those transitions and understand the state of Milwaukee Brewer baseball, you really understand what it means to kind of put on that hat. So again, I never had a chance to really see it or put it on, but it always feels good to kind of, look back and kind of see what it was, and see what it's all about.
So you mentioned, part of the job, a big part of it is how do you impart your wisdom from 15 years in the bigs on these people? But let's go the other way. Like, what did you learn on the job this first year as an associate manager?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both of just learning as far as, when to push, when to pull, how to talk to guys in certain situations or when, and sometimes when to hold back from that. And also I think, man, one of the biggest things is too, for me, was just kind of seeing how staff works and seeing how, who does what and how we can kind of work more efficiently and things like that. So, again, that's all under the realms of Murph, and he's done a great job, obviously, so far with all that. So I've just been a fly on the wall, just trying to see exactly, how he does things and how we kind of work together.
So what is it that drew you to this position?
I don't know about drawing me to position, but I think I just like baseball, and obviously being in Milwaukee, and obviously going through my front office experience the last 2 years, and kind of growing there, and then I have an opportunity to come to the dugout, and it's all worked out. Again, I don't care who you are, what kind of job you have, but you want to be the best at your job. So that's what I try to do.
Rickie, months ago, maybe even a year ago now, we talked to Owen Miller. And he told us how incredible it was to meet Rickie Weeks when all of a sudden he's obviously a Mequon kid or Fredonia. This,
Right.
So maybe I was just going to ask you, and then we'll just let Owen see it. What was it like meeting Owen Miller?
No, it was cool. But to be really honest with you, I think the last person I think I've seen who was from the area to make it to the big leagues was, I want to say it was, I'm drawing a blank now, the right-hand pitcher, Zimmerman, I want to say.
Oh, yeah.
So for me to understand somebody who's from here, obviously with the organization, and being from the area, really feels good to have somebody who does remember you, but also good player in Owen Miller. So I know he's got a great career ahead of him, and we'll be excited to see him.
So if we're talking about meeting people, then I'm going to ask, did you ever get to meet Hank Aaron when you were on the team?
Did I? Of course.
What was Hank like? What was that?
No, it was great. My childhood hero was Rickey Henderson, but I think there's some grandfathers to those players like Rickey Henderson. So, and obviously one of those big ones was, and my top of the list, right beside Willie Mays is Hank Aaron. And I had a chance to really meet him and kind of understand what he was about, obviously where he came from, and hearing stories about him, but it was good to kind of hear from him. I was able to get a signed jersey for him. So that was one of the highlights of my career. But other than that, though, he's just a delightful person to be around, and kind of, hear him kind of his wisdom come out in baseball as well.
Who spells their name wrong, you or Rickey Henderson? Who spells Rickey incorrectly?
So I don't want to say too many bad things about Rickey Henderson, but I think he spells it wrong. I spell it right.
Okay. EY is not the way to go.
No, it's not.
So I love noticing things behind the scenes, Rickie, and I couldn't help but notice that when the celebration was going on here a week ago or so, there was a stogie in one hand and I think a Gatorade cup in the other. So I'm just fascinated. What was in the Gatorade cup?
No, it was some apple juice. It was some apple juice. I love apple juice. My grandfather used to eat applesauce all the time. So do I, and apple juice happened to be in the fridge. So I picked up some apple juice.
I don't believe you.
Okay, so there's grandfather, but you're Rickie Weeks Jr. What was Rickie Weeks Sr. like?
My dad. So he's the one that taught me the game. He's the one that showed me the game and showed me the history behind the game. I'm not gonna say I'm a history buff, but I love history. And my dad used to always tell me, if you play this game, you got to know the people that come, before you and the transition of the sport as well. So I really try to and hit that hard because of my dad. So again, I owe a whole lot of credit to my dad to show me the game, and obviously he's still my biggest fan, and seeing him still enjoy the game himself, brings joy to me for sure.
Rickie, I know you were born in 82, which means you were alive when the Brewers went to the World Series last time. I was born in 83. John and I talk about this all the time. The Never a World Series in my lifetime. However, 2008, big year, man. That was the first time in my lifetime, being a Wisconsin boy, that we went to the playoffs. So take us back to 2008. Will you reminisce with us a little bit and just what that was like when you were playing?
It was crazy. I think from a team standpoint, obviously, we would always hear about last time we made the playoffs and how long it's been and when we were going to do it. I remember my rookie year, it was a feat just to get to 500. It was a feat to get a little bit over 500. So now at that point in 08, we would kind of break that curse, I guess, per se, and kind of get to the playoffs for the first time. It was bittersweet because I know we wanted to go longer, but just to gain that experience, the excitement from the city was unbelievable from day one. And again, 2008 was probably one of the more special years just because of where the organization has came from. So just being a part of that was special.
Are there any similarities between that team and this team in like personnel? And I say that as like you had this core group. You came up, you were there first, but then Prince came and Braun, and you guys all kind of did this together. Now you got Terang and maybe Cheerio and some of these guys that could be together for 5 or 6 years. Is there a similarity here?
No, for sure. Just from the trajectory of your core players, I think it's very similar. I think whenever you deal with a playoff team or a team trending in the right direction, you always look at the core players that's behind it. And I think, you can't, say Brewers without saying those guys right there. So, again, it takes a lot more than that, but it does start with those core players. And I think it means a lot for the team to kind of expound off that and kind of take the next step forward. And, we want more than just winning division. So, again, it starts with those guys. It starts with teams like that. And, what more can we say and just go out and just play free and play hard.
Like you, some of those guys are growing up here, right? That's what you said in the press conference. You grew up here. Right. What did Milwaukee teach you? Take off the baseball hat for a second, right? What was it about Wisconsin that really clicked with you?
Well, man, the being where I come from, I think, you just think of, the blue collar and the work ethic. You think of families going home and watching Brewers games, and to be able to come here and on the weekends, and it's a family affair. Knowing that the city, the state supports you, I think all those things come to mind. So when you're, the dog days of August, when you're in the minor leagues, struggling, trying to get to where you want to get to, those are the things that you think of. Watching games on TV, seeing the packed crowd, even when the team is not doing too great. I think those are moments you always go back to. And I think from my side, seeing that and being a part of it, you really can't ask for too much more than that.
So I could read all about every stat you had on Baseball Reference and all these other things, but you touched on your dad and history. You're from Florida. They got ball players galore and teams. You can play at Florida State. How'd you end up at Southern and an HBCU?
That's a great question. I don't know either. I can think of all the maybes, the mights, or whatever. I really don't know. I graduated at 17 years old, so maybe I was young. I was still developing, maybe, and maybe that's the case. Maybe I just wasn't good enough. Maybe the area I come from, it's a hotbed of baseball talent. So maybe I was swallowed in a big fish and a really big pond. It's just one of those things where I don't know, but I just know that I think one of the biggest things for me was to really hone on was just working to where I want to get to, and I've always wanted to be a big leaguer. I've always wanted to be in Major League Baseball, so that's what I try to do.
You can't see it, Rickie, but my left leg is in a cast. I blew up my Achilles playing beer league old man softball at the end of June.
Wow, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me and you both.
Well, deserved it, but that's fine.
Whatever. So, but John blew up his ankle when he was a kid, and I'm going through this. Does your ankle still hurt?
Absolutely it does. It's like I honestly I really haven't talked about it too much, or I talk about it a lot anyway. But yeah, it's just one of those injuries. I think I call them war wounds. It's one of those things where you play the game long enough. I don't care who you are. You're gonna have these injuries, and things are gonna show up. Things are gonna still linger around, and that's what happened to my ankle. I had surgery the year I retired, and kind of cleaned some stuff up. But obviously the the residual from everything, it still hurts a little bit. The weather change and things like that, but it just comes with it. It's part of it. No excuses here.
All right. So as we wrap things up, I have to know, 15 years later, where do you think you rank on the list of sexiest men in baseball? Because in 2009, you were on top, baby. And where are we now?
You would do that to me. You would do that.
Like top 10, maybe?
I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. I'm comfortable in my own skin. How about that?
Good. Do the players have any idea about that?
I don't know, and I really don't want to know either.
I'm not the guy that's going to tell them.
No, I might clip it. We'll see.
Exactly.
We appreciate you coming on, man, and giving us just a few minutes. We know that we're talking to you now as the playoffs get going, and hopefully this all matters still in 3-4 weeks. So thanks for doing what you're doing. Thanks for being here, man. And let's go.
You said it. Let's go.
Thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate having me.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. So I know you own 4 tickets, been in the seats a couple, 2-3 times. Appreciate that. I have a request. If you're not using them on Thanksgiving, you have 4. Mm-hmm. I got reached out to by a good buddy, Pete Lee, who said, hey, I'm going to be in Milwaukee for some shows, and I'd love to bring my wife and my parents up for a game. Could you help me find 4 tickets? And I said, I know a guy, and I'll buy the first Miller Lite. Just let me know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to, because I might be there for that too.
Oh, okay.
I might be there because I'll be there for the game Sunday beforehand.
Oh, so, all right.
That game against the 49ers. So
sweet. So do you have a ritual? Like, what do you do when you come back? What do you do? Do you have like people that you got to see and tailgates that you got to hit?
No, I have a few things I have to do. I guess I don't know. Like I don't have a regular tailgate that I end up going to. There are certain places that I like to make sure I go eat, some really nice and some that will hopefully one day kill me. That's how I'd like to go, right? I'd like to just fall out of a booth at Al's Hamburgers if that's possible.
Perfect.
But so no. And once I'm there, like I get a little annoyed with people. Like, you got to go buy your beer now. I used to like the beer vendor. I like that guy because he came to me because I want to stay and watch the game, right? I don't like to get up and go when that happens. Or like when I'm in the house, it used to be, right, you had just 3 games, but now you got the red zone, right? So there's all kinds of. But here's the great thing is like when I get or is it the great thing or is it the less filling thing? But it's just like, I don't have to change the drink with the game, right? Here's Miller Lite and I can watch what's on the main channel or on the other channel or on the red zone. So I can watch 52 games, but I only need 1 drink, which is really what I like. I need 1 beverage. Okay. I need something to anchor myself on Sunday because I'm going to flip through or I got to listen to Hanson go through all these other things. Especially you don't know the pain I have when you're out of market and you don't have the direct TV ticket or whoever's doing it now, and you're just sitting there and you're just hoping that they come, but they can't because they're showing the Patriots on 4th and 10 because they might kick a field goal, and you're like, anyway. So this is the time where I need, here's my Miller Lite and let the games go by. So I anchor myself to that little white can. Over the course of about 6 hours on Sundays.
And in Lambeau, a big white can, which I'm really great. And the self-serve.
Yep. I like that. I like the fact that they're now big enough that you can wash your hair with it is fantastic. Like you can, not a great analogy. Probably a bad analogy. The fact that it's big enough that you could ice whatever injury you have with it.
Got it. Moving on. Make your game time taste like Miller time. Taste great and less filling. Let it be both. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Inside Wisconsin, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. 128, 170 something in a big one. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer, no matter the size. Get after it. Grab yourself a Miller Lite this football season.
I was told there'd be no math.
Time for another top 5 list on the Inside Wisconsin show, presented by the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. Discover excellence at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. Their renowned engineering and STEM programs offer a cutting-edge environment with over 60 majors to choose from. Plus, with exciting clubs and organizations, there's always fun happening on campus. Discover why UW-Platteville is a smart investment. Apply now. Head to uwplatt.edu. JA, real quick, before we jump into this top 5 list, I feel like it was either last episode or the time before where I mentioned Luke Van Ness was the most important player. And I love to give people a little bit behind the scenes. Okay. So we had talked about that top 5 list, no different than we talked about this one. And then John's brain, this is nothing that anybody listening or watching would be surprised at, comes up with something like this. And now he's got an even better one. And I go with the flow. That day we went into this top 5 list and I had Jordan Love as the number 1 person that was most important.
But we went after Jordan Love, right? It was the guy after Jordan Love.
This is really funny though, and our listeners will appreciate this. It wasn't Jordan Love. It wasn't not including Jordan Love until like 30 seconds before we started the top 5 list. You're like, so anybody but Jordan Love.
Yeah,
so
I'm
scrambling behind the scenes to come up with somebody that I think is the most important, and I dropped Luke Van Ness. And by the way, not a terrible season so far. So I just maybe that was for me. I wanted to get it in there. Appreciate you listening.
I think by far, if people say who's been the second best player on the Packers, they'd go, look at Van Ness, hands down. It's not even close.
What did you say last week? Did he even travel this week?
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
All right. So what is it this week?
I don't know if he's traveled, and right now Rashawn Gary looks like he's a conscientious objector. So I don't even know what the hell's going on with these guys.
Yeah.
All right. So I had 2 top 5 lists prepared. Okay. One was, here's Rickie Weeks. He played ball at Southern in Louisiana. And so I'm like, okay, well, what about guys that were great in the state of Wisconsin for our sports teams who went to Louisiana colleges? Be great. Then the Brewers lost, and I came up with a completely new top 5 list. Okay.
All right,
here we go. Number 5 is denial. Number 4 is anger. Number 3 is bargaining. Number 2 is depression.
Acceptance is number 1.
And number 1 is acceptance. So I don't know that if that's in the spirit of the top 5. So if you'd like, I could go to the other one. But that's the one that in my current state has the 5 stages of grief.
And the crazy part about that top 5 is number 3 could be number 2, and number 2 could be number 4, and it just is a shit show, no matter which way you look at it.
I'm well past 5. Denial, like it's there. It's a very short one, but we're 4. We're hurting right now, And if I've gotten to be like, okay, I'll take this one if you can do. We're not there, but anyway. So there's that one, but I think that's more universal for my top 5 list. So
let me know when you get to number 1. I want to know. Just send me one word: acceptance. I don't care if it's until March.
Well, here's the thing: when the Brewers hoist the World Series trophy, then you'll know I'm at number 1. So anyway, all right. So here's the other. Here we'll go to the other one then. So
okay. All right.
Knew the other one. These are guys that contributed, good players here in the state of Wisconsin. All went to universities there in Louisiana. Okay.
Baseball only.
No, it can be. Well, the first 2 are, but we're going to go all. I mean, you could do Marvin Winkler. Do you remember him? He played for a year for the Bucks, but I think he's about the only guy.
Somebody set the over/under on me knowing who any of these guys are at 2.5. So we'll see how this goes.
Well, you'll be easy. Number 5, Louisiana Monroe, pitcher for the Brewers.
No idea.
Ben Sheets.
Okay, no, good. He was pretty good.
There you go. Yep. So
2008. 2008.
Yeah. Number 4. Played for the Brewers, played for Milwaukee, the Braves, in both their World Series appearances on their champion. From LSU was Joe Adcock. You should know who Joe Adcock is.
Okay.
Right. I get Spawn, and you get Eddie Matthews and Hank Aaron and but you should know who Joe Adcock is. Really good infielder. Number 3, this is where I always add the extra one. Okay, because they're both defensive backs for the Packers. One went to Louisiana Tech. Okay, so we're trying to get a lot of the schools represented. One to Louisiana Tech. One actually went to Southern, like Rickie, and he was from my era. One from your age. So number 3 is Tremont Williams, Louisiana Tech, great player. And if you're my age, you remember the great number. I think he was 48. Who am I kidding? He was 48. Kenny Ellis, who went to Southern. Ken Ellis was a great safety. Then I think they turned him into a corner with the Packers. And I got to meet him. He's still a chaplain sometimes for the LSU squads, but he went to Southern.
Cool.
Number 2, these guys are Hall of Fame, no doubters. Everybody knows them, Green Bay Packers. Number 2, like people will flip them. I'm going to go offense first. Number 2 is Jimmy Taylor from LSU. And if you ever look it up, and this is, we have all these Mel Kiper scouting draft guys, right? We always put together a draft show with some guru. Jimmy Taylor wrote a letter to the Packers. I'm interested in playing pro football, and it would be great if I could play for the Packers. I did this at LSU. Like, that's what it used to be. Like, he wrote a letter of introduction. Like, hey, here I am. Wow. So Jimmy Taylor, great, who when I was a kid was second in the all-time rushing. Jim Brown, Jimmy Taylor. He had 8,800 yards and what was Brown? 13,000. For the longest time, he was second, and now he's like 40th. And then number 1, same thing, Packers, all-time great on the defensive line from Grambling State. You with me yet?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Willie Davis.
Yeah.
I love Willie Davis. Willie Davis might have been one of my favorite Packers from that team. So we're going to go Sheets, Adcock, White/Ellis, Jimmy Taylor, Willie Davis. So that's the top 5. Honestly, if it feels like my heart's not totally in it, see the other top 5. And that's a little bit why maybe I'm not right there.
Acceptance. We'll get there.
No, we won't.
Okay, so we heard about what could have been and what was, and now we just want to. I don't know how to open it. I'm mad. You're mad. We're mad. That's Jeff Levering. He's sad. We heard that. Jeff's sad. Help us, Lev. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you guys. I wish we were talking on.
No, it's not. It's not good to see us. You'd rather be calling games. Admit it. You don't want to see us right now any more than we want to see you.
Well, today would be an off day, so we'd be getting ready for Game 3 of the division series as we record this today.
I take it all back.
It would have been an off day anyway, but it's great to see you guys. I hope that we can get through this all together. That's the point. That's the point. Let's get this done together.
First off, I hate everybody, right? That's a common refrain when that happens with me. If I was merely angry, that would be a step up from where I'm at. Because I'm angry. The only thing I'm angry at is the setup that allows what happened to happen. That part I don't like. The rest is just now I'm disappointed. I want to know, like, how long am I allowed to wallow in this? Like, when does spring training start? I feel like I'm going to need some time.
Yeah, February. Late February. So you can wallow if you'd like to. I mean, for me, you can be upset at the system, and I think that's fair. That's very fair. They're having more teams have an opportunity to get in. Is the format perfect? No, it's not perfect. You look at what college football has done. They've gone from 4 teams in the CFB to 12 teams in the CFB. So everybody's going to get their piece, and there's going to be a 13th team that misses out, and someone's going to get upset. There are no participation trophies in these leagues. That's the sad part. And for a team like the Brewers this year, it is frustrating. You win your division. You're the first team to clinch in Major League Baseball. And then you go 3 games. You have one of the most exhilarating games in franchise history in Game 2, to having this huge moment of back-to-back homers in the 7th inning to take a lead in a 0-0 game. It was like the 4th 0-0 game that was through 6 innings in elimination game history. So you go from being at the high of highs and you're 3 outs away and giving it to your all-star and all-world closer, and he has a really bad night. And everybody has a bad night. He just picked a bad evening to have a bad night. But it was all there for the Brewers. It felt a lot like 2019 against Washington. You couldn't have scripted it any better. You have a lead against Scherzer. You're playing, you're hanging in there against Steven Strasburg. Your pitching was set up perfectly in every way it was supposed to go. And then Josh Hader has his meltdown in the bottom of the 8th inning, and you lose. And your season's over in 2019. This felt very similar to that one-game elimination in 2019. Even though you went the distance in that third and decisive game, the center of the baseball world was in Milwaukee, and it just didn't go the way the Brewers did. And it was a frustrating night, to say the least.
Okay, so on the cheering up scale, no, we're still down here. I don't know that you've helped me at all in that. In fact,
the fun meter
is
bubbled
up and made it worse.
Yeah, the fun meter is low. It's
Dude,
still low, and that's okay.
You're supposed to talk me off the ledge, not farther out onto it.
It was a great year. I mean, you can't take away that it was a great season,
thing, right? That's what I'm trying to we need to get at is you can't let that mask what an unbelievable season this was for a team that wasn't supposed to have 93 wins and even be in the playoffs, right? My anger is once we're there, we might as well win.
Right.
But we have to at some point, and maybe I don't want to ruin Thanksgiving's probably gonna be ruined, but by Christmas I'll be back to appreciate, right, to fully, and you got to see that team more than anybody because Anderson's a part-timer. So the appreciation we should have for the 5 months of baseball they gave us, 6 months is amazing. And I want to know where you are on that. Are you able to, do you count victories to get yourself to sleep at night? Because you got 93 of them.
Yeah, I mean, where I am with this whole thing is that it was a really fun year of baseball, right? And like you said, nobody expected any of this from this Brewers team. If you ask the prognosticators, depending on the publication, they were looking at 75 to 80 wins. And if you finished at 500 or above 500, you'd consider that a win in terms of a season. I think the internal metrics that the Brewers had and their internal systems had the Brewers performing better than what a Fangraphs or a Baseball Reference would have guessed for a win total. But everybody was high on the Cubs. Everybody was high on the Cardinals. And look where they finished. The Pirates were a scary team at one point, and they had a 10-game losing streak, and they were in last place with the Reds. Now the Reds are, they thought they were going to have a great year, and they didn't have a great year. And here come the mighty Brewers, who everybody underestimates every single year, and for 6 of the last 7 years in the playoffs. Does that translate to a lot of wins in the postseason? It hasn't. And it's translated to 2 wins in the postseason since 2018. But at the same time, you're there. And if you're a fan base, I know you want to win series, and I know you want to get to championships, and you want to get to a World Series for the first time since 2008, since 1982. But at the same time, you're giving yourself a shot. You're giving yourself a non-rebuilding year. You're not in the wallows with the Washington Nationals. You're not down there with the Miami Marlins, who have a fluke winning season every now and again. You don't have to rebuild every 5 years. It's a consistent team. And I think this team's going to be really consistent for a long time. The way that they're operating with the young guys that they have with the position player groups, I think their bullpen still is in really good shape. You got to figure out your starting rotation, but everybody does at some point. I still think that this is a very exciting franchise to follow and get your fandom behind.
It is now. When I was growing up in the 90s, not so much. I just said to my son, I was like, hey, you ever heard of Jeremy Burnitz? Yeah, I didn't think you did, because nobody had in that time, even though he was phenomenal.
Sure. Is that why it hurt? A former Mets #1 draft pick? Awesome.
Holy shit, really?
Why don't you stick with a John Jaha, man? At least he was in that home run derby in '99 at Fenway.
Oh, Lee, you are just Levering. This is what I do all the time. The sense of history here is just literally. He picked a guy who was the #1 draft pick of the Mets. Awesome. Anyway, you were saying, Trev, before I so rudely interrupted.
Sorry. Of all of the names of all of the 90s Brewers I picked, of course. Not only do I pick that one, and of course you know it. That's what. Is that why it hurts so bad? Because we're used to being good now? I mean, the 90s weren't good. The late 80s, not good. And up until 2008, not very good. But now here we are in this season of, hey, we're actually fairly good. And then that happens. Is that why it hurts so bad? Because we feel like we're really close?
I think so. And I think also it's the expectation level, right? It's always you are winning a bunch of games and you feel like we should be playing better. We should be doing better. We should be going further. But There's a lot of good baseball teams out there, Major League Baseball. And you could say that the product is watered down because there's 32 teams, there's less minor league teams, so on and so forth. But I still think that it hurts because you're winning a lot. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing for fan bases to hurt because that means you care. That means you're passionate about this franchise. That means you're passionate about what you're watching. In the late 90s, early 2000s with the Brewers, did you really care? Or did you just want to go to the ballpark and have a good time and drink your beers and tailgate and know that your team was going to stink? Because they stunk. There was a lot of bad baseball going on at that time. You didn't expect to win. It hurts when you expect to win and you care. That's kind of what I'm driving at with all of this, is that it does matter that you care. It means you're invested. And it hurts more when you're invested.
Yeah, I cared until they had the Notre Dame MB hat. Then I took a few years off. I'm like, I can't. Bad baseball and that hat, I can't go with either one of those.
The Rickie Bonus era. That's
right.
What I think of as Rickie Bonus.
But when you say that too, right? You're like, but the Nats did win a World Series, and the Marlins somehow won 2, and the Royals stink, win 1, stunk again, another back. So. Like I'm waiting to see what deal with the devil I'll make. How long, like what grace period would I have to win this? Would I go, like, I'm 59. Would I be satisfied the rest of my life if they win next year at 60? If
sure.
I'm beginning to think maybe, because right now I want to take my own life. Maybe not like that bad. I shouldn't make fun of that. But,
so, I mean, I understand where you're at. The other side of this coin is you could look at some other franchises. Look at where the Dodgers are, right? You've got more money than God. You spend more money than God. And the only World Series you've won was the COVID-shortened 2020 World Series.
In Texas.
Right. You win it in Texas, not even in front of your own fan base. You could be the San Diego Padres, who win a great amount of games, and they've only won no World Series. They still have a 0 World Series as a franchise, and they're spending a ton of money. And they've got all these superstars. Their window is pretty big. Are they a great team? Yeah, they're a great team. But have they won a World Series? No, they haven't. Seattle Mariners still haven't won a World Series. Even, it's even the Mets. The Mets haven't won in a long time. So it's just because you're spending a lot of money, and I get it. It's frustrating. You got these fluky years where guys win these World Series, but a lot of the great, even the Yankees. Look at the Yankees. They haven't won since 2009. They haven't even been back since 2009. So I get the frustration. I totally get it. But the Brewers are not supposed to be there.
By the way, yeah, my sympathy for the Yankees is
it's way low. I don't care. I don't care.
Right. The Yankees to me are like the Mets and the Cubs. Go ahead and lose for 100 straight years and then go into a slump after that. That would be great by me. Right. Hey, during all of this, especially on those last 3 games, or there were times this season when the place was packed. And I did this, and I don't mean to name drop, but like when I was at the Olympics, like every once in a while, maybe it was because it was Stark in Tokyo, there was nobody, but I just took the headset off just for a minute. Went like, I'm going to listen to this because it was crazy. Like, did you have some moments like that during the season where you're just like, okay, I'm going to just do this and put my ear out the window and hear and feel that energy?
No, for sure. And I think I did that more, especially late in the season when you're really getting down to it. I mean, I definitely did it, and you could hear it in the calls in game 2 when Churio hit the homer. I laid out for a long time just because I wanted to experience what that was like. And I think I wanted the radio listeners to listen to what it felt like to be in that ballpark. I wanted people to feel, instead of talking over Garrett Mitchell running around the bases, I wanted people to feel like they were there. I wanted people to feel like they were in the building. Now in game 3, Bowers hits the big homer. It was awesome. I laid out. I think I sounded like a psychopath on the Sal Frelick homer. But I think that I just let myself feel like a fan. And I even jumped out of my chair and did a fist bump when he hit the homer. You didn't have time to think about it because it was the very next pitch after Bowers hit his homer. Now, I may have lost my voice on that home run. I think I blew my larynx slightly. But I think that just sitting back and letting the moment breathe I think it's refreshing to fans. I think it's refreshing to everybody. It was refreshing to me because it allowed me to collect my thoughts and figure out what I was going to say next because I'm in that moment. But I also paused. I paused and I wanted to make sure that I felt what those 44,000 fans felt like in that moment too.
And at the end, you made us all feel. Every last person that was listening to you on the radio felt.
Yeah.
20 years, man, you've been in this business. Have you ever had a moment like that? And what was it this time?
Yeah, I don't think I have. This one felt different to me. And now I've had a couple of days to process, and I'm glad you guys didn't have me on Friday because I was a mess on Friday.
I was unavailable for comment.
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah, you were DND, right? You were Do Not Disturb. When I talked to Trevor on Friday after the game to set this up, and I was on a walk. I just needed to get out. I needed to keep my body moving. Because if I sat down, I was going to get sad, right? I was going to get emotional, and it had some to do with what was going on in the field, right? I'm sad for the way that the fans had their season end. I'm sad for the way the players worked so hard from the beginning of spring training to get to this point, and it ends just in a fleeting moment with one bad inning. It's really frustrating. I was feeling for them, and then the fact that it was Uecker that was on the call for the ninth. I tossed it to him after I did the eighth. He does the ninth inning. And then all hell breaks loose. You lose the lead. And then in the bottom of the ninth, you go 3 up and 3 down. Double play by Terang, who never hits into double plays. And just to watch him and go back and forth with him in that last segment after we went to break, I think it all just kind of hit, right? And you don't know. The dude's 90, and it took him so much to work every time that he came to work this year that I think that at the end of the season, it just kind of all of it came to fruition for me, and all of it just kind of hurt. And I hope and he feels great. I talked to him the other day. I talked to him after game 2, before game 3, and he sounded great. And I talked to him over the weekend, and he's feeling fine. And it's just one of those things where you don't know. And nobody knows when that time comes. But the fact that he's 90 years old, 54 years of the Milwaukee Brewers, you could just kind of feel the heaviness. And I think that's what hit me in that moment as, I'm getting through Murph talking on the post-game show, and I'm trying to get rid of, breaks, and there's no scores to update. And I'm trying to get through that as quickly as possible. And then it comes to the goodbye, and the goodbye is always so hard. It's always the last one. And I'm the last voice that you're going to hear of Brewers baseball until the following season. And there's a lot of pressure in that. And to follow a guy like Uecker on the air, just in general, to do the post-game show and say your goodbye, that's not an easy thing to do. And I think all the weight of it and that moment just came over me. And as I was saying goodbye, it sucked. It hit me. And I've never been emotional like that on the air before. And as soon as I said goodbye, I threw my headset down and I just started sobbing like a kid. And thank God my wife was in the booth, and she just ran down. I think there was a picture that I threw out there, and she's got her arm around me and she's rubbing my back, and I just bawled. I did. I cried. I was so sad. Again, not because the Brewers lost, that was part of it, but just the enormity of the situation is what got me.
But we kind of forget this, right? Maybe I do, because of the profession I've been in for so long, and you sort of divorce yourself from it the best you can.
Yeah.
But I forget that, like, you're with those guys from February to the end. You're like every day, you're around the bank. Those guys intimately. Like, to me, I know very few of them. I like some of them better than others when they play, right? But I don't know them. I don't know their kids' names. I'm not around them. I'm not like, hey, I don't see the joy when, like, their kid scores a soccer goal. Like, you have those kind of amazing nuances.
Yeah.
Right. And I just go, oh yeah, look, there's the stat line and some of these other things.
Right.
So I think sometimes we forget that you literally get to kind of say the we, right? Every time I say we, people are like, yeah, did you have an at bat? No. But like you're very much part of that we that's in there. So I can see where that's really difficult that even people that listen every game and are along for the ride that you describe.
Yeah.
Not in it like you are. And I can see where that's,
yeah, and the recipe is going to be different next year. You don't know who's going to be around. Was that the last time that we see Willie Adames in a Brewers uniform? And he's one of my favorite human beings. I've been doing this for 20 years, like you said, and he is one of my favorite human beings. We had this thing going since about June, where I would see him in the clubhouse before every game, and we would give each other this huge high five,
Mm-hmm.
and then bro hug before every single game. All right, Willie, let's get after it. And we would deem how good of a game he was going to have by how loud our high five was. Like, I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss seeing Hobie Milner's kids after a game and saying hi to them and having his little daughter get really shy whenever I say hello. Like those are the things that you get involved with, right? Because you are a family. You are along for this ride, for this journey that is the Major League Baseball season, and it just ends so fast, and you do it every day for 7 months, and then it's whoosh, it's gone. It's just gone, and you go, God, what the hell happened?
Why am I in Piscataway? What am I doing in Piscataway?
What the hell just happened? Now I'm putting the scorebook away, and it's just done, and you're not going to see it again for another 4 or 5 months. You go, God, all that, and it's gone. It's sad. It can be sad, and my emotions got the best of me. But I think that nobody can no one will ever be able to say that I don't care ever, because I care. I absolutely care. And for all the reasons you said, John, that just you get to know the players, you get to know their families, the coaching staff, your broadcast partners, you're your own family. It's hard to do. And that was a really hard one. But no one will ever say that I don't care, because I care a lot. I care a lot.
You've been a lot of places, Jeff. Is it different here? Does it feel different being a Brewers fan in Milwaukee, in Wisconsin, or is it just us?
No, it does. It really does. And I've been a part of some different fan bases too. This is the longest I've ever been with an organization, ever. This is the longest I've lived somewhere other than my childhood home that I lived in until I was 17 years old and moved out and went to college. This is the longest I've ever been somewhere. So it absolutely feels like home. And seeing this fan base, I started in the Angels organization. Then I went to the Cardinals organization. They're passionate, but it's a lot of, look what I've done. This is great. Isn't it awesome? And then the Red Sox, it's a very passionate fan base. You can't say that they don't care. They do care. And they know exactly what your opponent's tax return looks like for the last 10 years. But there is no fan base like this Brewers fan base. It just isn't. And maybe it's because I'm in it and I'm with them every day, but it's special. It's really, really special. They've had a lot of lean years, and now that they're winning and the expectation level is high, you can see how passionate this fan base is. And I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Do you think this year, and I'm ready for some, I hate the disrespect card, but I'm ready. I'm ready for some level of people that might not be believers. But if you look at the core of that group, right, and there are a lot of first round draft picks that are in there.
Mm-hmm.
You got a 20-year-old kid that's dynamite. Like, do you think people will look at that and go, okay, that's actually, there's more here? Kind of, and when we were talking to Rickie, right? He was the first guy that came up, and then they added Prince, and then all these other guys came, and all of a sudden you realized, even when Braun was a third baseman, but you get a sense that this could be the building of, and it's one Achilles injury from something going bad, or an elbow injury. But right, I guess, do you think the Brewers have changed a little the national perception here that, okay, there's some really good players here, and this could go on a while?
Yeah, that was a shot at Trevor. I heard.
Yeah, it was. I heard that Achilles injury.
I just want to let you know I heard that. No, but you're absolutely right. This does feel a lot like that early 2000s Weeks to Braun to Hardy to Corey Hart, and it does, and Fielder, of course. It feels like that. You had an ace in Giovanni Gallardo that was in the middle of that staff. The pitching is coming. You're excited about a Jacob Mizorowski, whatever role he's going to be in. You got some other kids that are down there in the minor leagues that are throwing the heck out of the ball. You've got this Jesus Made, who's a stud at 17 years old, was in the Dominican. But all these first round picks that are coming up, and you put them around Jackson Chourio, and they're only going to get better, right? This is the tip of the iceberg for a Jackson Chourio, and he was 2020 at 20 years old. Bryce Terang has a great season, steals 50 bags. Joey Ortiz was amazing at third base. Now, is he going to play short moving forward? Who knows? But he's awesome defensively. He's going to get better as an offensive player. You have the pieces that are in place to be really successful for a long time. And you still got a few more years worth of Yelich, and hopefully his back is all squared away and he can get through a season unscathed next year, because he was really starting to build up last year, now this year. So you do have those pieces in place, and there's some places where you could improve. There's no doubt, but at the end of the day, those building blocks are certainly there, and the Brewers have done a great job with their system to get this success to where it is.
One more for me, and maybe John's got a couple more. When you got here almost 10 9 years you've been here, right, Jeff?
Ted, just finished my 10th year, man.
10th season. Okay. So 10 years ago when you were hired, BA was full-time, and you were jumping in the booth with Bob Uecker, and I'm pretty sure he was traveling then, was he not?
He was. Yeah, I was the fill-in. I'm only doing road games and never did a home game until 2016.
Wow. So that's changed.
Yeah.
And we're all the way on the other side of that now. Knowing that we don't know, have you processed that there's a chance you're in a radio booth without Bob Uecker, and what that's not only going to mean to you, but what it's going to mean to Brewers fans? Because we're used to you now, right? You're on TV, you're on the radio as often as you can be when you're on TV. We know Jeff Levering, we know Lane Grindle, we know Josh, but man, do we know Uecker? Can you help us process that?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's very delicate, and there's no replacing Bob ever. There's never going to be another Bob ever in the history of mankind doing the things that he has done and accomplished, and how familiar his voice is, especially here in Milwaukee. I mean, he's done every year of Brewers baseball with the exception of year one. So people know nothing but Bob. It's very similar to what happened in Los Angeles with Vin Scully. Mm-hmm. Nobody knew anything other than Vin Scully in Los Angeles Dodgers franchise history until he left. And they still play his calls. It's still the Vin Scully press box. You don't forget who these people are. There's no doubt. And his memory, Bob's memory, will live on forever, whether he's calling games or he's not. He is a one-of-a-kind icon in this sport. And Bob Costas said it the other day, even if he never played, or even if he never did any of the comedy stuff, he'd still be a Hall of Fame broadcaster. And it's true. He would be. But there is no replacing him. Whoever ends up being the lead guy, whether it's me or somebody else or whoever it ends up being, just needs to be themselves. And if it's me, fans know me. They know who I am. They know what I do. They know how I call games. Am I going to be as funny as Bob? No, but nobody is. That is an irrational expectation of anybody. So does the thought go through your mind? And maybe that's what was going through my mind when I signed off, is that maybe this is the last time that you gets in this booth. Maybe it's the last time he says goodbye to the fan base. Maybe it's the last time that he tosses to me for the postgame show. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Maybe he comes back for spring training next year. But I think fans just need to know that he's never going anywhere. He's always going to be a piece of our lives, whether he is with us or if he's not. You just can't forget anybody like a Bob Uecker, and it's impossible to replace him.
See, I think unlike replacing a quarterback when they want to be the guy that, don't want to be the guy that follows the guy and the guy. I think with people like you mentioned, if you mentioned Vin Scully, Bob Uecker, Jack Buck, they're so unique. People understand how they are. They go, unlike a football player who's done it 35. They're into this advanced age. I think it's easier to follow them because people then realize there's nobody that can do that, right? There's such a distinct individual that you're not really following that. You almost get to build your new identity because nobody actually can hold you to that. They can if you're a quarterback. Yeah. And I do think in some regard, as you speak so reverently about Bob, is that you're like, okay, that's just such a one-of-a-kind thing that nobody's like, well, that guy's no Bob Uecker, because the answer to that's always going to be right. And so I think in some way, that's not a cursed thing to after, if you could be that guy, like I'd be like, that would be great. I would take that job and not going, oh, I have to live up to that, just because I think they're such unique people, I don't think when Ernie Harwell left the Tigers, I don't think they didn't bemoan for years that Ernie Harwell was in the booth. They just went, wow, that was a guy, that was our unique thing. And I think that's what we're going to find with Uecker, that if he's done or if he goes till he's 100, that when he finally doesn't call games, I just think people are going to, that's unique. And it's like they don't hold, and there's not a shortstop yet that's played there. They go, yeah, he's no Robin Yount. No, because that's just a thing, right? I do think there's something like that.
Yeah, and I will say this too, that we've been around him so much. I've been here for 10 years that he tells stories, and I go, I know where he's going with this. I know this. I know the stories. So I'll never be able to tell them like Bob, but at the same time, I know the nuts and bolts of those stories. So those can still live on too. It was funny. A couple of nights ago, I was just laying with my son, and we had watched a somewhat scary movie, not really a scary movie. And he goes, well, why don't you tell me something funny? So I told him a Uecker story, and he laughed, and it got him to go to sleep. And you're like, okay, this is great. So it works at home. It'll work on the broadcast whenever that day comes. And that's the beauty of working with somebody for 10 years.
I think what's even more amazing, think about this. You said you've worked with him for 10 years. You met him when he was 80.
You're right.
Which is even more astounding. You met the dude when he was 80. Yeah. That's even crazier. But the future of the franchise is in the hands of a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Tell me about seeing that guy for real in the first big league season every day.
I mean, he's incredible. I mean, he was doing things that
you should say his name, Jackson Churio, by the way.
For those of you who are just coming out from hibernation, yes, Jackson Churio is good, and it's the old Braylon Allen thing from a couple of years ago. He's 20 years old, right? When Braylon Allen was 18 or 17 years old playing at Wisconsin. Watching him work every day has been a lot of fun, and I think that once June 2nd hit, it was even more fun because he started to trust himself. He started to realize, man, this is pretty fun, and I know I can hang with him. I just need to believe that I can hang with this type of baseball, even though I've never done this before at the age of 20. He played like 2 weeks in AAA baseball. But, I mean, his work ethic was insane. He was out there before batting practice, hitting with William Contreras and Willie Adames every single day. He latched onto those two guys and their work ethic every day. And you could tell when he started to buy into all that stuff is when all the success came for Jackson. And he started playing better defense. He started to trust that he was going to get to balls coming in, not letting them drop and taking it easy. Go ahead and play with your hair on fire, man. There is no problem doing that. Go have fun. Play the way that you know how to play, because that's the only way you know how to do it. The moment that you start playing passively is the moment that you're going to start struggling. And that's what he did for 6 weeks. And I thought the Brewers handled him perfectly during that stretch, especially late May, for that 2-week stretch where he was sitting on the bench for a lot of games and being pinch hit for late in ball games. Watch the game from a different angle. Learn something about yourself. He did that, and he was one of the best players in Major League Baseball. He was right up there with Shohei Ohtani for the last 4 months of the regular season. As a 20-year-old, you don't bat an eyelash at it. You go, oh, my God, I'm buying stock in this kid.
I told you I'm done. I have nothing else I don't want to talk about the Brewers anymore. I'd rather just talk about what's on the radio. No, actually, I do have one more. This is kind of a joke. Jeff, is it Antigo or Antigo?
Antigo.
It could be.
It's Antigo. Can you tell the story, Jeff?
It could be Antigo. Don't even say the T. It's Antigo.
Antigo.
Like Milwaukee with no L.
Right.
I tried to teach Linda Cohen how to say that. I'm like, just don't say the L. Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Yeah, it's just
Jeff, tell
one
the story.
long
It's classic. It
Anigo.
was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, we were in Pittsburgh, and Tavern of the Game was in Anigo, and Vinny Rotino got a text from one of his buddies, and he goes, "I think it's Antigo. I think you say it Antigo." I went, "Dude, you're the one from Wisconsin of anybody." And I said, Antigo when I initially said it, and I'm pretty sure I got it right. He could go Anigo, which is fine, but Antigo is okay. But he goes Antigo. And I went, Vinny, Jiminy Christmas, man. Really? Really? And then people started responding, and Trevor was texting me when I was up in the booth. And he goes, "You handled it well. Vinny needs to just sit this one out and not listen to bad sources." So, and then that lasted for a day or so. And I will say, I was very pleased to know that how many people were actually watching, because you never know who's watching. Or, if you're just on in a bar and, you're on closed captioning, which is where I do some of my best work anyway, which is on mute. But it was good to know the amount of responses that I got from people in northern Wisconsin on how to say Anigo.
The Red Robins. When I was a kid, they were a football power. So, Trev, do I have time for a quick lightning round? As long as I'm here, as long as we got our man.
I didn't prep him. Let's do it.
All right. Best game of the year.
Jake Bauer's walk-off to clinch the division, even though the division was clinched.
There you go. Your favorite tavern of the game. Have you had one that just sticks out?
Not a name that sticks out, but certainly the Anigo moment does.
Okay. When we were kids, we didn't have enough guys to play baseball. We just were, you had 4 of them, and you played workup. You had to take one field out of play. What field would you take out of play?
I would take left field out as a left-handed hitter. I would take left field out.
Very good. Who's going to win the World Series?
I really, really want Cleveland to win. I'm all in on Cleveland.
They look nice so far.
The fighting Stephen votes.
You have had more or fewer back surgeries than Christian Yelich?
Fewer. I've had 0 surgeries.
Oh, well, then that makes the next one. Have you had more torn Achilles? Never mind. We'll move on. Last movie.
My mom just did. She had surgery.
Was she playing softball?
She was playing nothing. She was going up the steps at AmFam Field, and it snapped on her. It was already frayed, but it snapped. Bad day.
It can happen to any of us.
Yeah.
Right. Don't worry, Trev. You've got that one coming. I have no doubt.
She's also 71, so she's had a lot of life.
Good let that part out. Good let that out.
Last movie you saw in a theater?
We just went and saw Inside Out 2.
Excellent. Yeah, that was very funny. Best baseball movie?
The Natural.
Really? All right. Pick me out a winner, Bobby. Last night, as movies go, literally last night, because there's a delay in the old NFL game, The Godfather is on one channel and one below it is Slapshot. Which one should I have watched?
Slapshot.
Yeah, I've got Godfather on DVD, all of them. Can you throw a curveball?
Yes.
Can you hit a curveball?
Yes.
Even better. I like that. How far in advance do you get your college football schedule?
6 days, typically. 6 days. Yeah, find out on Sunday where you're going Saturday.
Did J.J. Hardy play baseball in high school?
Yes, he did. I played against him.
He did. Okay, excellent. Have you heard the media guide story? I'll tell you that off air. And finally, the thing you missed the most once the season's over, baseball-wise.
I miss going to the ballpark. I miss walking in the stadium and smelling the fresh cut grass, and the ballpark is quiet. That's what I miss. But I'll be at the ballpark tomorrow, just to be there, and it's going to be really quiet. It's going to feel weird, but that's what I miss. And I miss seeing my summer family.
So other than the ballpark and the smell of the grass and Uecker possibly retiring and this loss, and go ahead with the Nats loss, I want to thank you for just really cheering me up. I feel so much better now.
We talked about the future. The future is bright.
Right.
We got that in.
Your number.
We talked about Jackson Churio, who's 20. He still can't drink until next year.
Good. Jeff, I have your number. I see the sun's coming out, and I'm feeling brighter. Perhaps you could bring me down a peg. What do you got going? No.
I'm just walking around this black cloud around me. Sorry, J.A.
I will say this, because as a kid that listened to baseball growing up on the radio with Uecker and Merle Harmon to start, the line of broadcasters is great. And while the team and how they play is so much of it, that you give first voice to history, that you are the soundtrack for all of us through summers. It's just a brilliant job, and it's so fun to listen to you. It's so nice now that in Connecticut and Missouri, like I can access that you didn't used to be, right? And you'd hang on to that station till the very end, and you got like that. Listen, the team brings us joy, but you amplify that joy. And a great season, and thanks so much for joining us again. You just do a great job, and I look forward to hearing you here on the Big Ten Network as we continue. And I also enjoy. I can't wait to find out who all the teams in the Big Ten are.
No, there is a lot of them, coast to coast, coast to coast. Very, very kind words. Thank you, John. I appreciate it, and it is an honor to do Brewers baseball. It really is, and an honor. And I did hear a lot of comments and read a lot of comments from the way that I signed off to end the season. And for everybody that's listening and watching right now, I just appreciate every word that you have said. And I take it all to heart. I've read every single word. So thank you.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. Amanda beat me to the gas rewards, and I'm mad about it. She saved
You
like
always
60.
are.
Well, that's because I can't walk to the pump right now, John. So she's got to fill up the gas, and she took a picture the other day and saved like.
If you're the passenger, be glad somebody's taking you anywhere because your doctor said sit on that stool and don't go anywhere. Okay?
I'm doing okay. Yes, I'm not going in. Actually, I can go places now.
We don't want to air out our dirty laundry here. Now is not the time. Okay, that's fine.
This is a bit of a Festivus type of episode, to be completely honest. Anyway, you're around a lot more. I highly recommend you go to Festival Foods and get the gas rewards. festfoods.com/gas-rewards. All you got to do is pick up a card, have it activated in the store, create the account on that website, scan your card at checkout, and save. And if you enjoy making your wife angry, beat her to the points every once in a while.
I'll just say this. If you got to go into the store to sign up, get bratwurst while you're there.
Yeah, highly recommended.
Football season, just as long as you're there, don't be afraid to pick up some, or maybe a good Polska kielbasa, something like that,
and make sure, and just fill up at Quick Trip because that's where you got to get these points at. Any Quick Trip store across the entire state of Wisconsin, if you have a gas rewards card from Festival Foods, and remember, it works for wine and spirits. Yep. When in doubt, go buy your Miller Lite at Festival Foods, scan that little card, and save on gas. It's like only in Wisconsin type of stuff. Perfect.
Listen, if you buy the right liquor with enough proof, just put that in the gas tank, give it a little giddy up boost.
What was the Everclear? That's what it was. Everclear proof. Everclear, not E85. Everclear. Don't do that. Don't. Okay. This is why we have insurance. This is why I had to buy insurance for the Inside Wisconsin show because somebody is going to go, oh, that would make sense. And
yeah, well,
don't do that.
All right,
just go to Festival Foods.
We want you to do a whole lot more than just save money. We want your money to grow, just like your dreams. We want you to achieve financial well-being and the feelings that go along with that. Capital Credit Union, doing the right thing.
I mean, it could have been more painful. It wasn't painless, but it could have been more painful. And I do find that people will find joy in today's episode, regardless of your grief scale.
No, it is. It like I said, it's there, and you were so high, and you were so like, we're through. This is perfect. We're going on to the next one. Bring on the Phillies, and then you're just not. And it just takes a while to get back to the whole. I mean, it is very much, isn't it? Like the Packers, youngest team in the NFL. Great, they made the playoffs. Wow, they hammer the Cowboys. How great is that? That's kind of like the Brewers winning the division by 10 games over the Cubs.
Seriously, yeah.
And then you get in there and you're, this is all gravy. And then you're so close and you're like, So, yeah, it'll come around. Literally, I poke a little at this, but it's, we'll shed that unless the Mets win the World Series. And then I'm just going to rail at the sixth best team in baseball won the World Series. So, yeah, I think it's easy enough to find A, what a great season, and B, what a great future. So, sometimes it's just the Eeyore in me sees a lot of the dark cloud. But no, this is a lot of that's in jest. I think there's no question that you will look back at the 2024 season, go, what a great season that was, and hopefully that's also a touchstone for several great seasons to come.
The best season is John Wisconsin's season, as in like your stories. We talk about Uecker stories. These are pretty good stories. Like, these are stories that someday I could tell. No, you don't think so? I think
I don't know. Let's pick somebody else other than that guy. How about that? Pick anybody.
What's the tale today?
All right, so I'm doing this. We purposely did all this show. I'm waiting to the end because honestly, I don't know how I'm going to do with this. Okay.
Okay.
So this is. So first thing we're going to do. Hang on one sec, right? I mean, I know people don't think we're in your basement,
yeah.
But okay, but here's reality. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I'm clearing out of this house, and I know we had some fun with what was happening. Like, here's 5 things that I found in my office. Okay.
Yes.
So I don't want to revisit that, but I do want to find. There are 2 things that I did find here that are cleaning out that are not going to come with me because I can't move them. But I want to make sure people know about them. Okay. So one is, this is really the start and the defining part of our relationship, how we came. And I still have this. Okay.
Look at that. No
So
way.
This is how Trevor and I met. Okay. Is when you were kind enough, when you were with the Bullfrogs. What are we? August?
Yeah.
2010.
Wow,
and
man. That's
you
cool.
brought me out and you helped raise money for this charity of ours that since it started, we've given away about $350,000 to underserved kids in different schools.
That's
so
really cool.
For those that don't remember it, that's how Trevor and I met.
Pretty awesome.
And he made this giant check. And I still have this giant check.
That's really neat.
I am indebted to you not only for whatever the sum of that is, 2,300 and whatever. I am grateful for that. Grateful for the kids that helped. I am grateful for that you had us back. I'm grateful for the friendship of that, and I'm grateful for what that has produced, which is this cast. So as we talk about, we talk about joy. We talk about trying to help and serve others. We talk about recognition of things that are special. This is special, okay? And the things it did was special, and you are special.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
The other thing that's not coming that I found in here that's not coming with me, but it's coming to you right here, babe.
Wow.
XL Brewer Zubas.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
I can't wait to see these. They're easy to get on over a walking boot, in space, or whatever you're going to tend to hurt next time.
Outstanding.
I don't know where. I had no idea I had something like this.
Oh,
I mean,
I am in
we're
heaven.
endorsed. I don't know if you're going to sleep in these. If
Oh,
you
yeah.
are, I assume you're sleeping in a room by yourself.
Now I'm going to be indebted to you because that's unbelievable.
Look at those
Brewers.
Like, I don't know how long I've had these. I have no idea where they came. But for all the sentiment of this, there is the lunacy of this.
I will. And next time, if this arrives before I see you next, I promise you, I don't care where we are, I will have those on.
So
that is awesome.
That is a John Wisconsin of deep gratitude and a John Wisconsin of pure, absolute lunacy. And I can't wait for you.
Both of those things mean the world to me. And by the way, after we did it with the John Henson wipeout night,
yeah,
and we went out to dinner at Brett Favre's Steakhouse. You remember that?
Yeah.
I didn't eat because I know you've done a lot of things. All I did was laugh.
Yeah,
John Henson, holy buckets.
Yeah, funny man. So
that's
anyway,
really cool.
There you have. I didn't want to go through 5 things. I had a different. Someday I'll tell you the story when we had Rickie Weeks and we're talking about Louisiana. My adventure down in New Orleans one night with my old roommate on the road that I rode with. I was on the road trips with my freshman year at Mizzou, a guy named Tim Garrett, was a wonderful guy, Timo. But I found those 2 things and I thought, before I leave this house, this is the last one I'll do from the Connecticut office, the new, we're going to open a new branch office. I think it might be in South Carolina for a while. It's eventually going to be in Missouri. But as I say goodbye to this house in this home of 18 years, those two things struck out to me. And so that's a purely selfish one. I guess, John, Wisconsin, the name's pretty selfish. But those are things that mean the world to me. So I wanted to make sure that I express those before I turn this, close the contract or whatever it is, do the closing and turn this place over to somebody else. Because I'm not leaving them the check, and there's no way they're getting
no way. Mic drop. As you were, Wisconsin. We'll see you next time.
Volunteering is something that can fill you up too. Not everyone has that. I don't know if I say I have some ownership over it, but it feels really good when people know me. They're like, "You're the lasagna woman." And I'm like, "Yes, I am." And that makes me feel really good inside.
Farmers, brewers, hunters, packers, badgers, cheeseheads, neighbors. No matter what name we go by, we are bound together by our roots. These are the people, the stories, and the patriotism from inside Wisconsin. Welcome to Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Another episode of Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet takes us to a kitchen, one of my favorite places on earth, clearly. Christy Dantuma, lasagna love. Christy, thanks for inviting us into your home first and foremost.
Well, thanks so much for coming.
We're excited to tell the story of Lasagna Love. What's that?
Lasagna Love is a nonprofit organization that was started during the pandemic by a woman in New England who just wanted to do something good for somebody in her neighborhood. It's caught wildfire, and we are now across 3 different countries and all across the United States. We are delivering meals to anyone who asks.
And when you say meals, it's really based on lasagna, yeah?
It is based on the lasagna, the ooey gooey deliciousness.
What is it about that dish that makes somebody feel better?
It's warm. Everyone knows pasta. Everyone can relate to pasta. It's got the cheesy gooiness to it. My recipe is based off of something that my mom made for us, and so it's something that we can all relate to, I feel like.
Comfort food.
Comfort food.
At its finest.
Yeah.
Do you have a vetting process in regards to who gets nominated?
When you are nominating yourself or someone else, you can write a little paragraph about, "Hi, my name is Christy, and I'm looking for lasagna because I just had surgery and I'm not able to stand on my own and I'm not able to stand for long periods of time to make a meal for myself. I'm looking for something." Or it could be like, "Hey, my name is Christy. I'm looking for lasagna. Thank you so much for doing this."
When somebody's going through a hard time, so many people go, "Well, let me know if you need anything."
Yes.
Nobody does that.
Absolutely. And with Lasagna Love, you don't always have to nominate yourself. You can also, as a friend, if you know that something is going on in someone else's life, you can nominate them for lasagna. And then we reach out and say, "Hey, you've been nominated for a lasagna." We don't say who. And then we communicate with you directly and say, "Is this something that you would like to accept?" And then we work it out from there.
It's better to give than to receive, and it's mightily difficult to receive sometimes.
Absolutely. Asking for help is so difficult. And so we keep it as intimate as you would like it to be. We don't have to go into your backstory or why you need it, and we don't grade you on a scale of how much you really need this meal. It is truly a, "Hey, I'm asking for help," and that's it.
What is it about mental health and a good meal?
If you feed your body, you feed your mind. I myself, when I eat something that I really love, I can feel, it's a chemical reaction to it. No matter what you're struggling with and what's going on in the background, it can make a difference.
How did you get involved, and why are you involved?
A friend of mine from Rockford was posting that she had delivered her very first lasagna, and I was like, what is this? I've never heard of this before. It was something that just caught my eye. I myself, I love to be involved with my community, but it's kind of hard to do big community events a lot. But it's easy to impact one person's life in a very real and meaningful way. It's very personal that you are providing a meal to one family in a very, I don't know, I keep using the word personal, I'm sorry.
I think it's pretty intimate. I mean,
yes,
at some
intimate,
level, it's an intimate setting.
It's a great way to also get involved in another person's life that you maybe don't know very well, but just want to spread a little bit of kindness to.
In order for you to dedicate as much time, effort, and money that it takes to do this, there's got to be something in your story that made this go, "I'm doing this."
I've always feel like I've just kind of had that itch for community. I struggle myself with depression and anxiety, so finding a way to connect with other people while being in the comfort of my own home and finding those very simple ways to still make a big impact on someone is really fulfilling for me.
If somebody wanted to get involved, how do they learn more?
Our website is lasagnalove.org, and it has all sorts of information about requesting one, becoming involved with a volunteer, or if you wanted to just donate monetarily, that money goes to Lasagna Love and that gets distributed.
Have you seen that there's a lot of differences in lasagna?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
What's the right way?
The right way is the way that the person wants it to be.
So we're gonna make one together.
Mm-hmm.
Are you letting out trade secrets at all, or is this
I
gonna
have
be like?
no secrets.
So what's first?
So first we need to make our cheese mixture. First get out the cottage cheese. I've got 2 things there
You
for
do.
you. I need both
Okay.
of those in here, please.
All of them?
Yes.
Do we mix it first?
Nope, put it in
Okay.
here. So now I'd like you to put about half of that in here.
Ooh, do you have a spoon, or do I just dump it?
Dump.
It?
Do your best.
I'm doing my best.
There you go.
Oh, that's
You
all
put
of it.
the whole
Okay.
thing in.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Can I have a
fine.
spoon? No, we gotta
No.
get some of that out of there.
We do probably need to get a
Yeah.
little bit
Okay.
of it.
Yeah. I'll it's my bad.
Okay.
It just
Do you want a bigger spoon?
gonna take a minute.
All right. So now
Okay.
we're gonna add our ricotta.
How much of this?
The whole thing.
There we
yep,
go.
there you go.
There's a lot of cheese. Now you mix this together.
We mix this together.
In case you were wondering, this is why there will never be a cooking show inside Wisconsin.
So much cheese.
A lot of cheese.
This is not for one lasagna. This will be multiple lasagnas worth.
It's mixed.
It's mixed. Got some Italian seasoning. You measure this with your heart.
Big heart.
Big heart. A little bit of onion powder.
Okay.
We got onions in the sauce, but a little bit extra, a little something,
All right.
something. A little bit of garlic
Ready to eat.
powder.
A little bit of garlic powder. I'm just holding this spoon in case it runs away on us. or
No,
something.
you're gonna be mixing, so
Parsley.
a little bit of parsley. All right, now give that a nice mix.
Do you fold it in like it's?
If you would like to fold, you may fold.
What do you do?
I just mix the crap out of it.
Okay. Mixing the crap out of it. Okay, we're mixed.
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
No, because
not.
I feel like the bottom is. Oh, it's not mixed at all.
You're full of it.
The bottom is completely. No, this is wrong.
Don't forget the love part.
Yes, the love part.
Okay.
We sprinkle the love in. So we have our nice, beautiful, thick meat sauce here. So you always start with the sauce first, so that way your lasagna noodles don't stick to the bottom. A little bit of this on the bottom. And then my favorite part, you get to swish it around.
Wishy.
Very technical.
That is a secret.
Perfect. That's not a secret, that's a fun part. You get 3 noodles. You're gonna put the noodles down on the bottom. Big spoon, throw a couple of schlops on there.
What were they?
Schlops.
Schlops.
It's a very technical term for
Okay,
careful.
well, you said schlop.
You could probably use one more scoop on there.
There we go.
There you go.
I feel bad for the person that gets this one.
All right, so that one, first layer of cheese is done. So let's swap those out. And why don't you repeat that again? All right, that's enough schloop.
Oh, sorry. Oh, wait, are there layers?
There's layers.
Oh, can I have that other spoon back? I am not doing a good job of the slopping.
So much schloop. Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
All right, okay. How many of these schlops?
We're gonna do 2.5. You measure it with your heart, and then
Well,
you
clearly
use
I
the,
have too much heart.
you use the ladle and you kind of swoop it around so you have a nice layer.
Weird how you're not letting me do it this time. Might have lost your trust. Have you ever denied anybody from becoming a lasagna chef for Lasagna Love?
No, anyone who wants to sign up, I did have to pass a health test where you like learn the basics of like putting your hair up. I washed my hands beforehand, that sort of thing. You had to put your hair up too.
Wow, you saw that coming. Super creative, bald joke. So is this something that you kind of do on your own, or do you have friends that Lasagna Love with you, or how does that work?
This is kind of a first time, I think.
Probably the last time, the way this is going. All right, cheese time.
Cheese time.
Mozzarella.
Mozzarella.
A decent amount, I assume.
A decent amount.
Like a
Oh,
pizza.
I measure cheese with my heart. Yes.
Like a pizza?
Yes, like nice and thick. This is the first layer of cheese.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
There's more layers?
There's more layers. So that's perfect.
Thank you.
You did something right!
Yay! I slopped the perfect amount of.
You slopped the perfect amount. We're gonna do kind of a dusting of Parmesan. And it just has an extra little bite of saltiness to it on top. So I have some provolone here for you. If you would like to make a design, or I usually do hearts. Hey, not bad on my first try.
It was supposed to look like Wisconsin. It doesn't.
It's not bad.
It's not
don't,
good.
Don't throw it on there. Make it, arrange it nicely.
It looks like a ghost.
I was gonna make a little LL for Lasagna Love.
You're seeing how creative I am at the moment, which is.
I'm not terribly creative either.
I was just gonna put circles on. So much for
You
that.
can do circles. Circles are difficult. So
Too
you're-
late for that now.
Now we have to try and make it so it's an even L.
Oh, look at that. That does look really pretty. Our Lasagna Love is done.
It looks pretty good.
One looks much more loving than the other. And this is where it all comes together. That looks very full of love, and I want it in my belly.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Cutting? I'm starving.
I can tell you're hungry.
Christy, thank you for this and for all of your love.
Yeah.
This is really good.
Only really good?
No, really good. Like, I don't want to talk. I would like to eat.
Okay, you may eat, so that's fine.
You're good at what you do, and we really
I
appreciate
try.
you doing it. Thank you.
Try.
Thank
I
you
love
for
doing it.
I love eating it. How many have you made?
Probably close to 300. I've delivered to 266 families. Plus I've got 3 in my freezer right now. We just did 2 more, and I probably have another 10 to 15 in my chest freezer at my parents' right now.
The reason we wanted to come and tell this story with you, Christy, is because we're all about roots, the deeper roots here in Wisconsin. But there's a whole bunch of ways to create roots. And I think the really neat part of this story is that these roots may not be deep in terms of years, but look at how the love can spread by
Absolutely.
just serving each other.
Yeah, that's actually our motto is spread kindness. So there you go. You have circled around to those exact things.
I didn't even do that on purpose. I didn't even know that existed until just now. That's
There you
great.
go.
Thank you for having us out to do this. We're really grateful.
Well, I'm so glad that you guys are here, and I'm happy that we're able to spread the word about it.
I'm literally going to be like, what is lasagna love?
So lasagna is a layered
Right.
dish.
Okay. So it's going to be one of them.
Would you like to see my freezer?
Yes.
There are no bodies in
Okay,
it.
didn't know where that was going.
I've never dropped a lasagna though, so I'm very thankful about that. Probably happen now.
Please don't. Please, I will pick it up and eat it. I don't care. I am not doing a good job of the slopping.
So much slip. Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
All right. Okay. This is when I remind you invited us.
Technically.
We invited ourselves. You're right. Another great episode of Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Great, Grate, great cheese, lasagna. I'm here all week. A special thanks goes out to Christy and everyone at Lasagna Love. You all are doing amazing work providing these meals for those who need them most. We're really, really grateful. Here's a challenge, Deeper Roots fans. Head to lasagnalove.org, lasagnalove.org, and nominate someone in your life who could use a warm meal. Or donate $25. We found out that's roughly the cost of one lasagna. So let's see how many we can get going for the people of Wisconsin that need that warm meal. Remember, if you have a story you'd like us to share, fill out the form on the website. Head to farmandfleet.com/deeperroots. As always, if you're watching here on YouTube or any other social media channel, make sure to like and share this, would you please? This is a good one to really spread the love. If you're listening on the podcast side, a 5-star review goes a long way. We will not complain if you leave us one. We'll see you next time.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Shut up and sit down.